hundreds of young women in the city of Progreso are disappearing.
I can see that nearly all of you have got photos. Can you explain to me who these photos are?
Mi hija se llama Marta, María Araceli Ramírez Medina. No sé nada de ella.
Now and again, a mother receives an anguished call from a missing daughter. But then the phone is snatched away, and the fate of the missing girls sinks back into mystery. One of those who helps organize the mothers is Rosanelli Santos.
Hemos llorado con un sentimiento de mamá, porque no tenemos respuestas de toda esta gente. Sufrimos.
It's unbelievably sad. They're all absolutely devastated by it. This woman just broke down crying, telling me about her daughter, Maria.
The mothers lay out the photos, hoping someone will recognize the face of a lost child. Pilar Escobar's daughter disappeared 2 years ago.
Ella es mi hija, Olga Elmira Romero Medina. Ella se fue del trabajo, se fue, nunca me dijo que iba de viaje.
The mothers say there have only been a few police inquiries, so they've set up their own investigations office.
Estos son los casos. Estos.
Inside, Edita Maldonado and Marcia Martinez collate possible sightings of the missing girls.
Este es el expediente. Se levanta con las fotos del desaparecido.
Okay.
Sí. Este lleva incluido todo lo que la información que el familiar nos da de su pariente. ¿Cuándo fue la última comunicación? ¿De dónde fue la última comunicación? ¿De dónde la llamó?
And you're trying to track down all these hundreds of girls from this tiny little office with no more than one computer and some mobile phones.
Ese es el trabajo de nosotros. Así es. Nos llaman o llamamos.
Increíble.
Sí. Esta otra dice.
Their work had revealed a clue. Recruiters had offered most of the girls well-paid jobs in nearby Mexico, sometimes even in the United States.
And this is Doña Pilar's daughter, Olga.
Esta es la hija de Pilar.
They showed me the file on Olga, whose mother I had met in the town square.
Ella nació el 3 de julio del 81.
The last time she was heard from was when she called from the Mexican border.
Tapachula.
I wanted to investigate what had happened to Olga and thousands of other missing girls from Progreso and nearby cities.
The mothers have given us a lead. They say that we should look in Tapachula. It's a town near the Mexican border. It's in Mexico. And the mothers say they've seen many Honduran girls working there.
It's no surprise the girls were tempted by promises of work. Since a military coup 3 years ago, the Honduran economy has collapsed. The drug cartels have gained ever more power, and Honduras has become the most murderous country on earth. To get to Mexico, the missing girls and their recruiters would first have left Honduras and crossed into neighboring Guatemala.
This is the main highway that cuts all the way through Guatemala, and it's over 10 hours from the border of Honduras to the border of Mexico. And at this point, the women are full of hope, thinking they're either going to the United States or going to respectable jobs in Mexico.
We reached the southern border of Mexico.
It's really early in the morning, and you can see already just how many migrants are crossing from Guatemala to Mexico.
Officially, it's hard for Hondurans to enter Mexico. But at the illegal crossing of Tucunuman, there's no need for visas. All it takes is the equivalent of 50 pence to pay a ferryman. incompetence or corruption means the Mexican border authorities do nothing.
Hola. Just look how near we are to the official border crossing. And these guys don't seem to care at all, right under the noses of the official immigration patrols there. And they just carry on. He's laughing now, he knows what I'm saying. And look, you can see just the amount of illegal traffic that's crossing this river right here.
This was the route the missing girls would have followed. Crossing illegally meant that once in Mexico, there would be no record of their existence.
Gracias. Gracias.
Near the river was Tapachula, the border town the mothers of the missing girls had told me about. I'd arranged to meet a Catholic priest, an outspoken champion of vulnerable migrants. His work brings Father Alejandro Solalinde Guerra constant death threats.
Todos los migrantes, las personas migrantes, para la delincuencia organizada, para algunas corporaciones policíacas, para servidores públicos corruptos, ellos son una mercancía, no son personas, son mercancía. Las mujeres especialmente las obligan a hacer películas pornográficas o las llevan también a prostíbulos. La industria sexual es muy grande y la complicidad, la corrupción y la impunidad también.
I followed Father Alejandro's advice and went to the heart of Tapachula's red light district. I hoped I'd find out more about the fate of the missing girls.
The mothers travelled all the way from Honduras to this bar here because they've got a tip-off that one of their missing daughters was spotted working in here. But when they showed everyone a photo of her, nobody recognised her.
I spoke to many women in bars in the area. I discovered most of them are Honduran. The bar and brothel owners kept constant watch on them. The girls were too scared to talk to me. The next morning, we had a breakthrough.
We finally had contact from one young woman who said that we can film with her, but only if we don't reveal her identity.
She was Honduran and wanted to meet outside of town, away from the gaze of the bar owners. Ashley crossed the river 2 years ago. She was 17 and left 2 young children behind. She and her sister were promised well-paid waitressing jobs. Instead, the traffickers delivered them to a brothel.
Were you forced to have sex with a client the first day you arrived there?
Sí, casi del diario me obligaban a irme con los clientes. Si no, cuando andaba peda, pues lo que hacían era darme una cachetada y me obligaban a irme. Me amenazaban con hacerle daño a mi hermana, a mi familia.
What was the first time like when you had to have sex with a client? What was going through your mind then?
O sea, yo hacía como que si no había pasado nada, aunque en el fondo estuviera muy herida. Solo pensé, ay, que si se dan cuenta mis hijos o mi mamá, ¿qué van a decir de mí? Entonces los va a traer.
For nearly 2 years, she was one of the missing girls, guarded and watched.
Siempre vivía con otra chava yo que era la que no me dejaba hacer ni un movimiento. Si salía a comprar comida iba conmigo. O sea, no me dejaba tener una vida privada.
Eventually, Ashley managed to call the Honduran consulate and was rescued. She'd been too scared to call the local police, as many were regular clients. She's still in Mexico. She can't face telling her parents what happened.
What do you miss most about Honduras?
Pues a mis hijos, a mi mamá y a mi papá, a mis hermanos.
I contacted Patricia Villamil, the former Honduran consul who'd arranged Ashley's rescue. Patricia told me she'd recently been fired. She believes for criticizing the Honduran and Mexican authorities for failing to rescue more missing girls.
Debido a la pobreza extrema que ellos viven, estas mujeres son sustraídas, son engañadas diciéndoles que van a México a trabajar por un mejor salario.
Who's responsible for this? Who are the traffickers?
Una red de traficantes que se van comunicando desde Honduras hacia todo el territorio mexicano. El tráfico de mujeres, niños, el tráfico humano les es más rentable a los narcotraficantes y al crimen organizado que la misma droga. Creo que las autoridades hondureñas no.
She told me in the 8 months she was consul, the Mexican authorities received over 200 calls from missing Honduran girls. Only a fraction were rescued.
She says one of the most frustrating things for her is that the authorities are not helping these girls. She says nobody is helping these girls.
She went on to meet a Honduran woman searching for a missing relative. Patricia may no longer be the consul, but she still gives people help. The traffickers want her to stop. Because of Patricia's work exposing sex trafficking, she's received many threats, written letters saying if she doesn't stop what she's doing, she'll be killed. We travelled further into Mexico, to a favourite haunt of drug traffickers.
We're driving to the biggest red light district in the whole state of Chiapas. It's in the town of Wixla. It's the highest number of bars and brothels, as well as the highest number of sex workers.
Away from the camera, I discovered many of the sex workers in Wixla were Hondurans, some trafficked recently. One Honduran woman agreed to tell me her story. She's one of the disappeared. She's abandoned all contact with her family.
Dunya, hola. Gracias. Vamos a hablar.
Dunya told me that when she realized she'd been sold to a brothel, she fled. But she was chased by armed men. Now she doesn't attempt to escape. Prostitution has become the only world she knows.
This is how these cantinas work. The girls serve beers. From here, we can't film the clients, but there's a whole group of men behind us with 3 girls. They sit at tables here, and when they want to have sex, they choose their girl, and they come to the back rooms here.
Like other trafficked women I'd met, she felt contacting her family would expose her to humiliation and disgrace.
Pero ya estando aquí, ya como que les cambia la mente. Se escapa las mujeres, pues sí. Pero ya salen ya traumadas, ya no vienen con su mentalidad bien. Me ha pasado depresión. Tal vez yo trapeando y se me salen mis lágrimas. Digo, ¿qué hago aquí? ¿Cómo vine a caer yo aquí en estos lugares?
Hola Luis.
¿Cómo estás?
Mucho
Villagran is a human rights activist who campaigns against the traffickers. He told me the answer to the mystery of the missing girls was all around us.
Muchas de las mujeres que trabajan en estos lugares están desaparecidas y la gente, sus familias allá en Honduras, piensa que siguen caminando, que algún día van a hablar y han pasado años que no saben de ellas. Son víctimas invisibles.
Who's responsible? Who's doing this?
También existen mafias de enganchadores, mafias más fuertes inclusive que el narcotráfico.
He claimed the authorities did little to combat the trade. Often they were part of it.
Al menos en esta región son las policías municipales las que principalmente extorsionan, trafican y explotan y agravan más al menos la situación de la prostitución en esta región.
He says that the police go almost daily to these bars and brothels, extorting money out of them. He says that other organizations he works with have heard the same testimony. He says, but it's really hard to prove because people are so scared. It's too dangerous. It's not something that you can film.
We approached the Honduran and Mexican authorities. They declined to comment on the allegations raised in this program. There was still an absent piece in the puzzle of the missing girls. I wanted to meet a trafficker who'd recruited Honduran girls and sold them.
We've been trying to find out exactly how these girls are being trafficked, but it's obviously hard to penetrate this world. We've been put in touch with a man who says he was involved. He's agreed to speak to us, but only on condition of anonymity.
The trafficker was Honduran. He'd started out smuggling drugs, but then his bosses decided his charm made him an ideal recruiter.
Where were you finding the girls?
En las plazas, más que todo. En las plazas, en centros comerciales. Y no se dialogaba con ellos, se les ofrecía engañado una buena cantidad de dinero por cierto trabajo decente. Por ejemplo, en una casa de aseo, cosas así. Cuidar a una señora, y cuando ya llegaban al lugar era otra la sustancia, de 35, 40 al día.
Business had boomed. He said he'd sold up to 40 girls a day, each for $100.
What were the actual jobs that the girls were being trafficked over for?
Sexo.
What would happen when the women would say that they didn't want to do this?
Obligadas. Lo hacen o lo hacen.
They'd get raped.
Muchas veces.
While he waited to sell the girls, he kept them in captivity.
Did any of them ever try to escape?
No puede. Hay muro perimetral, hay seguridad, no puede. Por estar ahí era por la fuerza sobre amenazas de muerte y encerradas. La necesidad que yo tenía se vuelve egoísta porque se le enfría el amor.
He claimed he was no longer involved in trafficking. I returned to Honduras. I wanted to meet Doña Pilar again.
Doña Pilar. Hola.
I couldn't give her any news about her missing daughter Olga, although after all I'd seen, I could guess what had happened to her.
Esta es una de las gemelitas que le digo que me dejó. Hola. 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 Ella también, es la mayor. El varoncito.
Me llamo Ramita. These are Olga's children. These are children she left behind. And these are the children she left this country for. She went looking for work so she could support her family.
Es donde vivía ella. Y vivía ella, y me peinaba. Es el primer recuerdo que tengo.
que reinaba ella. No, pues a nosotros nos ha afectado bastante de tristeza, ¿va? Ella en principal. Esa niña ahí en la noche a veces se recuerda llorando.
She says that she's having to sacrifice herself now to feed her grandchildren, and her grandchildren cry every night. They want their mum back.
Those fighting to save the missing girls say the official incompetence and corruption that allows traffickers to operate has to end. I've met people working to achieve that, but they need help.